Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at something that most people probably wouldn't even think about.
Right.
U.S. tax rules for clergy.
Interesting.
You sent over some intriguing pieces from IRS publication 517.
Okay.
And let me tell you,
Yeah.
this is a side of the tax code most folks never see.
It's a fascinating niche for sure.
It is.
Lots of unique twists and turns that you wouldn't expect.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, we all know taxes are complicated.
Right.
But when you add religion into the mix,
Oh, yeah.
well, that's a whole new level.
Definitely.
So you ready to dive into this rabbit hole with me?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So let's start with the basics.
Okay.
Most of us working folks pay those Social Security and Medicare taxes through FICA.
Right.
You pay half, your employer pays half.
Uh-huh.
Pretty straightforward, right?
Right. But for many clergy,
Yeah.
things work a little differently.
Okay.
They usually fall under SECA, which stands for Self-Employment Contributions Act. SECA. Okay, so is that like saying they're treated as their own little ministry business?
That's a great way to think about it.
Like a freelancer or something?
Yeah. They're responsible for the entire Social Security and Medicare tax.
Wow.
Both the employee and employer portions, just like someone running their own business.
Yeah, that's a pretty big difference.
It is.
You'd think being a spiritual leader would come with a bit of a tax break,
You would think.
not a bigger tax burden.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But that's not always the case.
Right.
However,
Yeah.
there are some interesting exceptions.
Okay.
Did you notice the part about clergy potentially being exempt from self-employment tax altogether?
Wait, seriously,
Yeah.
like they can just opt out of paying those taxes?
Well,
I don't remember seeing anything about that in the materials you sent over.
it's in there.
Really?
They can file something called Form 4361 with the IRS.
Oh.
But it's not just a free pass.
It's specifically for clergy who have sincere religious objections to being part of public insurance programs like Social Security.
I see.
It has to be a deep-seated belief, not just a desire to save some money on taxes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Hmm.
I can see how forcing someone to pay into a system that directly conflicts with their faith would be a problem.
Right.
So it's about respecting their religious freedom.
It is.
But this brings up a question.
Okay.
What about the churches themselves?
Mm.
Do they have any say in this?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it leads us to another fascinating twist.
Okay.
Even regular church employees can sometimes be exempt if the church itself objects to Social Security on religious grounds.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
So it's not just individual clergy members, but entire churches can be exempt too.
That's right.
That's pretty wild.
It is.
How does that even work? Do they have to fill out some special form or something?
They sure do.
Okay.
It's called Form 4029.
Okay.
It's a way for churches to formally declare their religious opposition to Social Security. Gotcha.
And potentially exempt their employees from participating.
Wow, this is a lot to take in.
It is.
So you've got clergy who can be exempt, church employees who might be exempt,
Right.
and special forms for everyone. Talk about a bureaucratic maze.
It's definitely complex.
It is.
And it gets even more nuanced when we start talking about what exactly qualifies as ministerial services.
Oh, yeah. The IRS gets pretty specific about that, doesn't it?
They do.
Like writing a religious book counts as ministerial work,
Right.
but being a military chaplain doesn't.
Correct.
That seems a little odd, don't you think?
It does highlight the intricacies of these definitions.
Yeah.
Remember, ministerial services are activities directly tied to religious duties.
Uh-huh.
Writing theological texts fits the bill.
Yeah.
But military chaplaincy falls under government service,
Right.
even though it involves spiritual guidance.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I'm starting to see why tax lawyers make the big bucks.
You're not wrong.
This stuff is like deciphering ancient scrolls. But it's these intricate details that make this deep dive so fascinating, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of fascinating details,
Okay.
can we talk about housing allowances?
Sure.
The IRS publication mentions they can be tax-free.
It is.
Is that for real?
It is. It's a huge benefit for many clergy.
Wow.
Think about it. Their housing is often tied directly to their work.
Right.
A lot of ministers live in parsonages provided by their churches, for example.
Right. The publication even used an example like that, with a minister getting a parsonage salary and a separate utility allowance.
Yeah.
It makes sense that those things wouldn't be taxed the same way as, say, my paycheck.
Exactly. But of course, there are limits to what's considered a reasonable housing allowance. It can't be excessive.
Right.
And it has to be designated by the church before it's paid out.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You can't just claim a mansion as a tax-free housing allowance.
Right.
But what happens if a church is a bit too generous? The publication mentions something called excess allowance, which sounds a little ominous.
It basically means that if the housing allowance goes beyond what's considered reasonable for the circumstances,
Right.
that extra amount becomes taxable income.
Ouch, that could be a nasty surprise come tax time.
It could?
So churches and clergy need to be on the same page to avoid any awkward misunderstandings.
Absolutely. Communication and clear documentation are crucial.
They are.
Which brings us to another aspect that might surprise some people.
Okay.
Even though clergy often get this great tax-free housing benefit,
Yeah.
they can run into some limitations when it comes to other deductions, specifically with things like health insurance.
Yeah, the publication mentioned that self-employed ministers can deduct their health insurance premiums,
Right.
but only up to the amount of their self-employment income, not their total church salary.
Correct.
That's a bit of a catch, right?
It's a significant difference compared to regular employees who can usually deduct their health insurance premiums, regardless of their income level.
And this is where the whole self-employment versus employee thing gets really confusing.
Yeah.
For Social Security, they're treated as self-employed,
Right.
but for retirement plans,
Yes.
it's like they're employees.
That's right.
So no solo 401k for them unless they have other side hustles.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's one of the most ironic aspects of clergy taxation.
It is.
The rules can be quite specific and at times seemingly contradictory.
It's like the IRS is playing a game of tax code twister.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to take a breath for a second.
Okay.
This whole clergy tax situation is way more complicated than I'd ever imagined.
It can be.
I mean, how do they even figure out how much they owe in self-employment taxes when things are this all over the place?
But just like with regular self-employment income, there are ways to calculate it.
Okay.
The IRS publication mentions two main methods, the regular method and the non-farm optional method.
Let's break those down.
Okay.
What's the regular method all about?
It is the most common one. Basically, you start by adding up all the income you received for your ministerial services.
Okay.
Salary fees for ceremonies, even the value of that tax-free housing we talked about.
So it's kind of like calculating your gross income from all your ministry-related activities.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then you subtract any allowable business expenses, just like anyone running their own business would.
Right.
And there's one extra step. You multiply that final number by 92.35%.
92.35%. Why that specific number?
It's a quirk of the self-employment tax calculation.
Okay.
Don't worry too much about the what. Just remember that it's part of the formula.
Got it. So that's the regular method.
Right.
What about the non-farm optional method?
Okay.
When would someone use that?
This one's a little more niche.
Okay.
It's designed for clergy who have very low earnings from their ministry.
I see.
Think part-time or small rural churches.
Yeah.
It lets them stay part of the Social Security system even if their income wouldn't normally qualify them.
So it's kind of a safety net to make sure everyone has a chance to earn those Social Security benefits.
That's a good way to put it.
Go.
But there are some specific rules about who can use it.
Okay.
Like having used this method for less than 5 years total.
It's like a limited time offer from the IRS.
Right.
But back to that whole business about deducting expenses.
Okay.
We talk about how that gets tricky with the tax-free housing allowance.
Uh-huh.
Can you remind me how that works again?
Sure. While the housing allowance itself isn't taxed, you can't deduct expenses that are directly related to that tax-free income.
Okay, so let's say I'm a minister living in a parsonage, and part of my utility bill is for the parsonage.
Right.
I can't deduct that part of the bill.
Exactly. You need to figure out what percentage of your income was tax-free because of the housing allowance,
I see.
and then apply that same percentage to your total ministerial expenses. That portion becomes non-deductible.
It's like a tax-free zone within your expenses. So clergy need to be really meticulous about tracking their income and expenses to make sure they're following the rules.
You got it. Good record keeping is essential in this world.
Yeah.
And remember, because a lot of their income isn't subject to regular withholding,
Right.
clergy typically need to pay estimated taxes throughout the year.
Right, just like those freelancers we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
You usually do it quarterly, right?
Yep, 4 times a year.
Okay,
And those payments cover both regular income tax and self-employment tax.
makes sense. It's all starting to come together now.
Good.
We've covered exemptions, housing allowances, self-employment taxes, and even touched on those unique expense rules.
Uh-huh.
What else is there to know?
Well, no discussion about taxes would be complete without talking about retirement, right?
It's true.
We mentioned earlier how clergy can get a little flip-flop between being treated as self-employed and as employees.
Right.
And that definitely comes into play when we talk about retirement savings.
Right. So for things like Social Security, they're often on their own, but for retirement plans, they're usually considered employees.
Exactly. That means they typically can't use things like solo 401ks
Right.
unless they have other self-employment income on the side,
Okay.
but they can participate in plans offered by their churches,
Mhm.
like 403B plans.
Okay.
Those are pretty similar to 401ks in a lot of ways.
Okay, so it's not a complete retirement desert for clergy, but it's definitely its own unique ecosystem.
It is.
Are there any other tax breaks or credits that might apply specifically to clergy?
There are a few things to consider.
Okay.
Remember that retirement savings contribution credit we briefly mentioned earlier?
Uh-huh.
That might be helpful for some clergy, depending on their income and contribution levels.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
It's a way to get a little tax break for being responsible and saving for the future.
exactly. And even if a clergy member is exempt from self-employment tax,
Okay.
they might still be eligible for the earned income credit based on their salary from the church.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So even if you're exempt from one type of tax, you might still get a benefit somewhere else.
It does, doesn't it?
That seems counterintuitive.
But that's the thing about the tax code. It's full of surprises.
Yeah.
And it highlights why it's so important for clergy to get individualized tax advice.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like a broken record here,
Right.
but this is complex stuff.
It is.
But also, it's way more interesting than I ever thought it would be.
I agree.
I'm starting to get why you find this whole area so fascinating.
It's like a puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah,
Piecing together all these different rules and regulations to see how they fit together.
it is.
And sometimes you uncover little historical mysteries along the way.
Whoa, like what? It got me intrigued. Well, you mentioned that whole retroactive exemption thing that goes back to 1968. That's a head scratcher.
It is curious, isn't it, that the publication doesn't go into much detail about why that date was chosen?
Yeah, it just sort of throws it out there like, oh, by the way, this has been a thing since 1968. It makes you wonder what was going on back then that prompted that change.
It could have been a legal case that set a precedent, or maybe a shift in how the IRS interpreted religious freedom in the context of taxation.
Right.
Maybe there was a particular movement within certain denominations to push for that exemption.
It's like a little time capsule waiting to be opened. Maybe we need to fire up the Wayback Machine
Yeah.
and do some historical digging to get the full story.
That would be a fascinating research project for sure. But even without knowing all the historical context, it's clear that this one little detail highlights how much these rules have evolved over time.
Yeah, it makes you realize that even something as seemingly dry as tax law is shaped by so many different factors: social movements, legal precedents, political climates. It's a lot more dynamic than people might think.
Absolutely, and I think that's what makes this deep dive so compelling. We've only scratched the surface, but we've uncovered so much already.
You know, before we started, I thought clergy taxes would be, well, kind of boring, but I have to admit I was completely wrong. It's a fascinating intersection of faith finances and government regulations.
It really is, and it's a testament to the complexity of both religious institutions and the tax system itself.
Well, you've definitely opened my eyes to a whole new world. I feel like I should be wearing one of those green accountant visors now.
Maybe we can get you one for the next deep dive.
But seriously, you've been an amazing guide through this tax labyrinth. I know I speak for our listeners when I say thank you for sharing your expertise and making this such an engaging and insightful journey.
My pleasure. It's always rewarding to delve into these niche areas and shed some light on the often overlooked aspects of our world.
And for you listening, thanks for coming along in this deep dive into the world of clergy taxes. It's a topic most people don't even know exists, but as we've discovered, it's full of surprises.
And who knows, maybe this has sparked your curiosity to learn more. If you're feeling adventurous, we've included links to the actual IRS forms and publications in the show notes. Go ahead, take the plunge.
And maybe, just maybe, one of you will uncover the secret history behind that 1968 exemption. Until then, keep those brains buzzing, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.